The Hidden Portal, Enoch's Journeys, and the Extraterrestrial Connection. In the shadow of a world torn apart by conflict and political change, a group of teenage Bedouins were unknowingly preparing to reveal a secret buried for centuries. It was the beginning of 1946, a troubled time, laden with echoes of the Second World War, when British Mandate Palestine was the scene of rising tensions. In this context, Bedouin teenagers, whose names have not been preserved in the annals of history, tended their flocks near the ancient settlement of Qumran, located on the shores of the Dead Sea, in the territory known today as the West Bank. It was an ordinary day, with the sun burning mercilessly across the arid landscape, until the monotony was broken by a seemingly insignificant event that would change the course of history. In an attempt to stave off his boredom, one of the teenagers threw a rock into an open cave in the limestone cliffs that bordered the area. The loud, unusual noise that followed was the signal that something unexpected lay hidden in the darkness of the cave. Curious and confident, they went in to explore. What they discovered in the depths of the cave were large clay jars, one of which had been broken by a thrown stone. Inside these were scrolls of parchment and leather, aged by time but remarkably well preserved. These manuscripts were fragments of ancient texts, carefully written in a language the teenagers could not decipher. Their discoveries soon attracted the attention of the scientific community. In the years that followed, archaeologists, historians, and treasure hunters explored 10 other caves in the Qumran area, uncovering approximately 800 to 900 manuscripts, known today as the Dead Sea Scrolls. These texts, written between the 3rd century BC and 1st century AD, contained a variety of religious texts, biblical commentaries, and the rules and practices of an ascetic Jewish community known as the Essenes. Among these manuscripts, some fragments belonged to a special, mysterious, and unknown text, the Book of Enoch. The Book of Enoch, attributed to the 7th patriarch in the Book of Genesis, was a monumental discovery. This apocryphal text offered a unique perspective on biblical stories such as the Great Flood and the Nephilim, representing a significant departure from canonical narratives. Mircea Eliade, one of the most famous historians of religions, would have seen this discovery as a gateway to a deeper understanding of myths and religious symbolism. For Eliade, myths are not just stories of the past, but manifestations of the sacred, ways in which people try to understand and structure the world around them. In this light, the Book of Enoch is not just a forgotten religious text, but a window into how ancient people perceived their universe and their role in it. The Watchers, the Nephilim, and Enoch himself become symbols of a cosmic struggle, reflecting the themes of eternity, fall, and redemption. The discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls was therefore not only a significant contribution to the history of religion and archaeology, but also a reminder of humanity's endless search for meaning and transcendence. The enigma of the Book of Enoch. After the extraordinary discovery in the caves near Qumran, the academic community was shaken by the presence of a text that seemed to reconfigure the traditional understanding of biblical history. The Book of Enoch, an enigmatic volume full of mystery, has opened a portal to a world where the past and the present, the real and the fantastic, intertwine in unexpected ways. The Book of Enoch, written in an archaic form of Aramaic, has been dated back to the 1st centuries before Christ, a time of great spiritual and religious effervescence. The text describes the travels and visions of Enoch, the 7th patriarch after Adam, a character who crosses the boundaries between human and divine, earthly and heavenly. Mircea Eliade, through his perspective on religious symbolism, would have seen this book as an attempt by ancient man to understand and describe transcendental experiences and mysterious cosmic events. In the Book of Enoch, heaven is not just a physical space, but a spiritual dimension full of supernatural beings and hidden knowledge. Enoch and the Watchers. The story begins with the description of the Watchers, angels sent to earth to watch over mankind. This group of heavenly beings, fascinated by the beauty of earthly women, violates divine laws through forbidden acts, giving birth to the Nephilim, giants and beings of powerful symbolism. Eliade would have interpreted this myth as an expression of the eternal struggle between order and chaos, sacred and profane. The fall and punishment. Through their earthly dealings, the Watchers not only distance themselves from divinity, but also bring corruption to earth. In the eyes of the deity, these acts represent a grave departure from the cosmic order. As a result, the Watchers are punished by being chained to the depths of the earth, a motif reminiscent of the myths of the Titans' fall into Tartarus in Greek mythology. Enoch, mediator of heaven and earth. Enoch, in a unique position as a man favored by divinity, becomes a kind of mediator between heaven and earth. His cosmic travels are described with a wealth of fantastical detail, suggesting that he travels not only through space, but also through time and different dimensions. Eliade would have seen in these journeys a manifestation of the experience of hierophany, the revelation of the sacred in the profane world. Punishment and the flood. Despite Enoch's efforts to mediate, the deity decides to punish Earth's corruption with the Great Flood, an event that will wash away sin and renew creation. Here, the Book of Enoch departs from the traditional biblical narrative, offering a different interpretation of the reasons for the flood. The chapter ends with the image of Enoch lifted up to heaven in a chariot of fire, a symbol of transcendence and union with the divine. For Eliade, this moment would have represented a culmination of the human search for understanding and communion with the sacred. Thus, the Book of Enoch, through the eyes of a scholar like Eliade, is not just an ancient text with a fascinating story, but a rich ecosystem of symbols and ideas reflecting ancient man's deep understanding of the world and his place in the cosmos. In this universe, the lines between myth and history are fluid, and reality intertwines with fantasy to create a rich tapestry of storytelling and meaning. Nephilim and the Legend of the Giants. As light filtered through the yellowed scrolls of the Dead Sea Scrolls, a new story began to unfold, a story of beings who straddled the line between myth and reality, between divine and human. The Nephilim, the troubling descendants of the Watchers and human women, were central characters in this story, an enigma of history and mythology that fascinated and disturbed in equal measure. The Nephilim are described in the Book of Enoch as beings of extraordinary stature and strength, true giants of the earth. Mircea Eliade would have seen these creatures as symbols of a primordial chaos, a violation of the natural order of things. The fact that these giants are the product of the union of the holy and the earthly suggests a tension between the upper and lower worlds, between heaven and earth. The presence of the Nephilim on earth is not only an extraordinary event, but also a sign of a disturbed balance in the created world. By consuming the earth's resources and asserting themselves by force, these giants create an imbalance that cries out for divine intervention. They become symbols of disorder, of a universe out of control. As researchers dig deeper into the history of the Nephilim, mysterious discoveries begin to appear in different cultures. In North America, legends of giants are found in the myths of indigenous tribes, which speak of powerful and feared ancestors. Also, in medieval European historiography, there are accounts of the discovery of huge bones, which contemporaries attributed to mythological beings or legendary heroes. The story of the Nephilim is not isolated to Jewish culture. In Norse mythologies, there are the Jotuns, the giants who live in Jotunheim and are in an eternal battle with the gods. In Greek mythology, there are Titans, giant beings that preceded the gods of Olympus. These parallels suggest a universal theme, a shared fascination and fear of humanity towards the idea of a race of giants. While historians and archaeologists debate the authenticity and accuracy of these legends, expeditions are launched in various parts of the world. Bones of unusual size are being discovered in remote archaeological sites, from the hidden valleys of the Himalayas to the Amazon jungle. Each discovery brings more questions than answers, fueling debate and theories about the origin and nature of these beings. The genetic mystery. An intriguing aspect of the Nephilim story is their genetic possibility. What would the existence of such hybrids mean, biologically? Genetic researchers are beginning to explore this idea, analyzing ancient DNA to look for traces of such abnormalities. This quest opens a new frontier in understanding humanity and its hidden history. The legend of the Nephilim transcends the academic sphere, seeping into popular culture and art. Writers, painters, and filmmakers imagine and reinterpret the story of these giants, either as terrifying beings or as martyrs to a world they did not choose. This fascination reflects an eternal human curiosity towards the unknown and the mysterious. The story of the Nephilim is not only an account of mythological beings, but also a journey in search of truth and understanding. It's a journey that blends history, mythology, archaeology, and genetics to explore one of humanity's deepest and oldest questions: what it means to be human and how we define ourselves in relation to the universe and its mysteries. The exclusion of the Book of Enoch from the biblical canon. In this chapter, we turn our attention to a crucial and mysterious event in the spiritual history of humanity: the exclusion of the Book of Enoch from the biblical canon. This moment, full of controversy and interpretation, represents an intersection of history, theology, and mysticism, a turning point in how the Christian and Jewish traditions have defined their sacredness and their canon. In the first centuries after the death of Jesus Christ, Christianity was in a process of definition and structuring. The texts and teachings were numerous and diverse, and Christian communities in different regions of the Mediterranean world and the Middle East had their own interpretations and sacred texts. The Book of Enoch, with its story of fallen angels, the Nephilim, and the flood, was initially an influential work in many of these communities. But as the church began to organize itself more formally, the question arose as to what texts should be included in the official canon. Mircea Eliade would have seen this process of canonization not only as an administrative act, but as a manifestation of the way a community defines the sacred and its relationship with the divine. The exclusion of the Book of Enoch can be interpreted as an attempt to set boundaries between what is considered direct divine revelation and human interpretations. For Eliade, the exclusion of this book would also have represented a moment when the church chose to distance itself from certain universal mythological themes and symbols. The Book of Enoch speaks of heavenly journeys, fallen angels, and a complex cosmogony, themes found in many spiritual traditions. Mystery and fantasy from the Book of Enoch. The Book of Enoch, with its account of angels and their hidden world, opens the door to a world full of mystery and fantasy. Enoch's journeys between heaven and earth, his visions of the universe, and his role as mediator between the divine and the human are filled with imagery that stirs the imagination and prompts questions about the nature of reality and mystical experience. In the modern era, interest in the Book of Enoch has revived, in part due to the fascination with apocryphal texts and ancient myths. His stories of angels, the spirit world, and the hidden depths of human existence continue to attract readers, artists, and researchers. This resurgence of interest can be seen as a modern desire to reconnect with the mystical and mythological dimensions of existence. In conclusion, the exclusion of the Book of Enoch from the biblical canon is not only a historical event, but also a deeply symbolic moment. It reflects the tensions and decisions of a community in formation and how it chooses to understand and relate to the sacred and divine mystery. For Eliade and those fascinated by the history of religions, the Book of Enoch remains an open window to a rich and complex spiritual universe, one that invites exploration and meditation on the deepest mysteries of existence. Enoch, the Anunnaki and the Cosmic Heredity. In this extended chapter, inspired by the theories of Erich von Däniken, we venture even deeper into the possible connections between the Book of Enoch, ancient civilizations, and extraterrestrial visitors. We try to uncover the secrets hidden behind these ancient texts and explore how they might change our understanding of human history. The hidden dialogue between Enoch and the Anunnaki. Throughout this chapter, we explore in detail the conversations and instructions that Enoch may have received from the Anunnaki. These dialogues could be the key to deciphering some lost technologies and knowledge. The texts of the Book of Enoch are scrutinized, looking for symbols, metaphors, and codes that might indicate a direct connection to these extraterrestrial beings. The forgotten technologies of the Anunnaki. We investigate the idea that the Anunnaki may have left behind advanced technologies that were later lost or forgotten. This includes possible artifacts or machines that influenced the development of ancient civilizations. Von Däniken would speculate that traces of these technologies could be found in the world's ancient ruins, from the pyramids of Egypt to the megalithic structures of Stonehenge. The idea that Enoch may have had advanced knowledge of the universe that was passed down by the Anunnaki is explored. This knowledge could include details about the structure of the solar system, the motion of celestial bodies, and even aspects of advanced physics. This information, encoded in his texts, could provide new insight into the level of scientific understanding of the people of those times. The chapter advances the idea that Enoch played a crucial role in the spiritual and technological evolution of mankind. Through him, the knowledge and wisdom of the Anunnaki was transmitted, influencing the further development of human societies. His role as a mediator is seen not only as a historical event, but as a decisive moment in the destiny of humanity. Archaeological mysteries and the alien connection. In search of physical evidence for von Daniken's theories, the chapter ventures into the world of archaeology. Recent discoveries that may be related to the Anunnaki or the technologies described in the Book of Enoch are being investigated. From mysterious hieroglyphs to unexplained artifacts, every clue is analyzed to uncover possible alien connections. The chapter concludes with the reflection that the story of Enoch, interpreted through the lens of Erich von Daniken's theories, may represent an essential part of humanity's cosmic heritage. This perspective offers an alternative view of our history, one in which humanity is deeply connected to an interstellar heritage and extraterrestrial influences. Through this lens, the Book of Enoch becomes not just an ancient text, but a handbook of a forgotten heritage, waiting to be rediscovered and understood in the larger cosmic context. Enoch, the keeper of the secrets of the universe. In this chapter, we dive into a world where fantasy meets reality, where mystery and suspense are at every turn. Enoch becomes a central character in a cosmic story, a gatekeeper of the universe's secrets, who holds the key to forgotten knowledge and mysteries yet to be deciphered. Enoch and the discovery of the hidden city. Our journey begins with a startling discovery. In one of his manuscripts, Enoch describes a hidden city, a place where heaven and earth seem to merge. This mythical city, full of advanced technology and archaic knowledge, may be where Enoch received his teachings. Mysteries of the city and its connection with the Anunnaki. The city, possibly a creation of the Anunnaki, is described as a place where time seems to stand still, where structures and machinery defy known laws of physics. Enoch reveals that in this place the Anunnaki studied and influenced the course of human events, guiding the development of mankind from the shadows. Enoch travels in space and time? Intriguingly, Enoch talks about space and time travel, suggesting that he had access to technologies that allowed him to traverse unknown dimensions. These descriptions are filled with impressive visuals, from distant galaxies to the rapid passage of time, a kind of time and space travel. Cosmological secrets and connections with other civilizations. The chapter explores the idea that Enoch gained knowledge of other extraterrestrial civilizations, the structure of the universe, and humanity's place in this vast cosmic picture. Enoch describes encounters with other intelligent beings, civilizations that lived and disappeared before mankind stepped foot on Earth. In this story, Enoch becomes a fighter for the truth, trying to bring to light the knowledge and advanced technologies that could transform humanity. He takes on the role of being the voice and messenger of this ancient knowledge, despite the opposition and skepticism he faces. The chapter reaches its climax when Enoch confronts forces that want to keep this knowledge hidden. In a startling discovery, Enoch reveals the existence of an ancient artifact, a device capable of altering reality itself, a key to Anunnaki power. Enoch, the keeper of the universe's secrets, leaves behind a legacy of knowledge and questions, inviting us to further explore the mysteries of the cosmos and wonder about our place in this vast and mysterious existence. The Hidden Code and the Legend of the Pyramids take us on an exciting and mysterious adventure where the Book of Enoch and the Pyramids of Egypt become the center of a fascinating story where the lines between fantasy and reality are blurred. The story begins with the discovery of an unknown fragment of the Book of Enoch, hidden in the depths of an old library in Cairo. This fragment seems to offer cryptic clues about a connection between Enoch and the construction of the pyramids in Egypt. In this fragment, Enoch describes a series of visions and encounters with higher beings that reveal to him advanced knowledge of geometry, astronomy, and engineering. This knowledge, the text suggests, was passed on to the builders of the pyramids, helping them to achieve these architectural wonders. The Lost Pyramid and the Chamber of Secrets. The adventure then takes us to Giza, where archaeologists discover a pyramid hidden beneath the sands of time, older than any other structure on the Giza Plateau. Inside this pyramid, there is a secret chamber with unknown hieroglyphs and symbols that seem to be related to the texts of Enoch. Deciphering the hieroglyphics and the star portal. Cryptographers and linguists are struggling to decipher the messages in the secret room. They discover that these hieroglyphs are actually a kind of star code, a map of the sky that indicates a certain rare astronomical alignment. This alignment, according to interpretations, could open some kind of portal or communication path with the beings described by Enoch. The riddle of light and shadow. As the astronomical alignment approaches, unusual phenomena begin to occur around the pyramid. Scientists and researchers observe fluctuations in magnetic fields and unusual light emissions emanating from the pyramid, suggesting that it is more than just a burial structure. At the climax of the story, a group of explorers and scientists enter the pyramid during the astronomical alignment. There, they experience visions and revelations that connect them not only to the ancient history of Egypt, but also to the extraterrestrial civilizations that have influenced the development of humanity. The chapter concludes with a reflection on the significance of these findings. The pyramids, the Book of Enoch, and the star codes are not only relics of the past, but keys to a greater understanding of our cosmic history and our place in the universe. The story invites us to look beyond what we know, explore the mystery, and ask ourselves if we are ready to accept the hidden truths of our existence. Rediscovering the Garden of Eden takes us on a mysterious and captivating journey, intertwining elements of fantasy and realism, where the Book of Enoch is interpreted as a portal to a forgotten dimension of time and human history. The story begins with the discovery of a lost section of the Book of Enoch, which describes a mysterious garden full of unparalleled beauty and strange creatures. This garden, the text suggests, could be identified with the legendary Garden of Eden, but not as traditionally described. In this version, the garden is a kind of cosmic laboratory where advanced beings, possibly the Anunnaki or even the Watchers, experimented with life and evolution. The gate to a forgotten world. A group of explorers and researchers, inspired by these revelations, embark on an expedition to find this mystical garden. They follow the cryptic clues left by Enoch and discover a remote location hidden in the dense jungle of an unexplored region. There, they come across the ruins of an ancient city whose architecture and technology are beyond modern understanding. The mystery of the garden creatures. As the explorers investigate further, they discover that the Garden of Eden was a meeting point of sorts between humans and aliens. Enoch describes encounters with beings who possessed advanced knowledge of biology, chemistry, and physics, and who played a role in shaping plant and animal species, some of which are completely unknown to modern science. DNA analyses of biological remains found in the garden reveal a number of surprising genetic anomalies. These findings suggest that the garden may have been a kind of genetic laboratory where the creation and adaptation of life forms was experimented with. The chapter reveals that Enoch, in his capacity as a visitor to the garden, was a kind of guardian of this knowledge, responsible for its transmission to mankind. He was tasked with balancing the knowledge offered to humanity with the need to protect the secrecy and sacredness of this garden. At the climax of the story, the explorers find an underground chamber hidden beneath the ruins of the ancient city. In this room, filled with inscriptions and artifacts, is an unknown device, possibly some kind of time or reality manipulation machine. This seems to be a kind of key to fully understanding the lost technologies and knowledge of ancient civilizations. Upon activating the device, the explorers experience a series of visions and revelations that connect them not only to the history of the garden, but also to key events in human history. These visions show how the knowledge transmitted by the garden creatures influenced entire civilizations, from the Sumerians to the Egyptians, and how Enoch played a crucial role in this transfer of knowledge. As the device reveals its secrets, the explorers begin to understand that human history is far more complex and interconnected than previously thought. Realize that the knowledge and technologies in the garden could have profound implications for the future of humanity. The chapter closes with questions about Enoch's legacy and humanity's responsibility to use this knowledge wisely. There is a reflection on the impact that discoveries in the garden could have on our understanding of the world and our future as a species. Full of mystery and fascinating discoveries, this chapter leaves us with a new perspective on our past and prompts us to look to the future with a new awareness of limitless possibilities. Enoch, through his extraordinary journey and his role as guardian of knowledge, becomes a symbol of the human search for truth and our place in the cosmos.